Good morning, everyone. I'm Molly Starback, Director of the Duke Office of Postdoctoral Services, and I'd like to welcome you to today's virtual postdoc orientation session with Arianne Hartsell-Gundy. Arianne is the librarian for the social sciences and the humanities, and she is the librarian for literature. She's also the library liaison for the English department and the literature program. And Arianne is here to tell us about library resources for postdocs in the social sciences and humanities. So thank you so much for joining us, Arianne, and please take it away.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. So this workshop, I'm going to talk a little bit about resources to support your research. And I wanted to start with the Virginia Woolf Writing Desk. If you've not seen this, this is located in the Rubenstein Library on West Campus. You can actually go and see and take photos of it. I wanted to start here to give you a little bit of a taste of some of the treasures that we have, and I'll be talking more about some of the other things we have, but definitely this is worth a look. As mentioned, I'm Arianne Hartsell-Gundy. I'm the head of the Humanities and Social Sciences department, and I'm the librarian for literature, and you have my contact information if there's any way that I can help you. What I'm going to do today, my goal is to provide you with a sense of the support that the library can provide for you, and I'm going to focus specifically on primary sources because I think that's an area that can be really helpful for people doing research in humanities and social sciences. So I want to take a little bit of time to just give you a sense. Everything I'm showing you is a sense, it's a taste. There's a whole lot more than what I'm going to cover today. So I'm going to start with giving you a basic overview of some of our resources. We have approximately 8.5 million volumes. That changes. And when I say volumes, I mean not just books, but we also have DVDs, we have CDs, and we have other formats as well. And I'm going to do a quick search here just to give you a little bit of a sense of what you can see. Doing a search for Harlem Renaissance, give you an example of what comes up. So 659 items come up just for that search alone. And I want to point out that we have, in some cases, ebooks, and in some cases we have physical books. So you'll see a mixture of both. And ebooks, you can just click view online and it'll take you right into the ebook. Some of these ebooks have limits on number of users. That's something that you can always ask us about. Some of them, it has unlimited user on it. Let me also mention that, as I said, when I say volume, the number of volumes that we have, I don't just mean books. We do have videos, music scores, government publications, a lot of things that I think people don't think about, we actually do have. So you can click if you see something like a music score and you can take a look at that. We do have multiple libraries. So West Campus, we have the Rubenstein Library that I mentioned, Perkins and Bostock, but then we also have a lot of specialized libraries. So we have a medical center library, we have the divinity school library, we have a law school library, music library, and I'm sure I'm missing a couple of business library. Those are all things that all places that you are welcome to visit and use their resources. You also can request items. So if you see something that's at the medical library, you don't have to walk all the way over there. You can request it, have it sent to the library of your choice, and you can go and pick it up. I also will mention that we have the Library Service Center. You will see that in some of these records. So Library Service Center is our offsite storage facility. So we don't have room for all of those millions of books. So we do have an offsite facility. You don't have to go there. It's kind of neat. They're like cherry pickers. If you ever get a chance to go on a tour, it's a huge, massive warehouse, but you do not have to go there. What you can do is if you see Library Service Center, you can click the green button, hit request, and we will get that book for you. It's really, it's about a day. I mean, give or take, but it's usually very quick. So if you see something from the Library Service Center, you just need your net ID, you put that in there, and you'll get an email when it's available, and you can come pick it up at the desk of your choice. So just to give you a little bit of a sense. Now that's 659 items for Harlem Renaissance. If that's not enough for you, we have other networks that we are involved with. So you can actually expand out. We are a part of what's called the Triangle Research Library Network, TRLN. And that includes our friends at NC Central, North Carolina Central University, our friends at NC State, and I guess there are friends at UNC Chapel Hill when we're not playing basketball. You can request their materials. So you can go to those libraries and use them if you like, but you can also request and have them sent to the desk. So that again expands your access, and that's going to come, since it's in the triangle, it comes very quickly. So that would be, I think, probably your first choice. And you can see, and this is also really nice, if something is checked out already, you can request it from the person who has it, but nobody likes that. So if you see something checked out, you can see if we have it in another library like at UNC and request it that way. As mentioned, so we have other networks. We are also a part of something called Borrow Direct. It's part of Ivy Plus. So this is the Ivy League schools, and then I always say we put the plus in Ivy Plus because there are also places like us and Stanford and the University of Chicago. So you have access to their networks as well. So that means that you don't have to do anything special, but when you do an interlibrary loan request, we often start with them. So we first go to TRLN, then we go to Borrow Direct. And that just means that you get things faster. So you don't see any difference, but a lot of your books are going to be coming from Harvard and Columbia. And so we just get things quicker. But anything that we don't have that you want, we should be able to do through interlibrary loan. And that's a simple request on the website. First time you do it, you're going to want to, it's going to ask you just to fill out some information. And you just give some basic like address and name and things like that. But after that, you can do any kind of request. Most of our systems, it's built in, you just click a button, but you can always come here and say, I want an article, and fill in the information as well. So in addition to books, we also provide access to a lot of databases, over 1,000. That number changes a bit here and there. These databases are available to you when you are off campus. You simply need your net ID. It's best to come through the library resources, and then it will go through the library website, and then it will give you a prompt to put in your net ID. This is the way to get to things like journal articles. If you're doing a search in Google Scholar, which is something we all do, and you're getting a lot of kind of like walls, sometimes it's just a matter of kind of getting back into our website, make sure that you're into what we call the proxy system, and then you'll have access to things off campus. So as I mentioned, we have over 1,000 databases, a variety of disciplines. We have sort of general things like Academic Search Complete, the old standard JSTOR. This is Nexa Uni, which used to be LexisNexis, PubMed, Web of Science, etc. You can also go in and look by subject. So you can come in here and say, I want to see everything related to Asian American studies, and get items that way. You can put in names. So we have things like the Modern Language Association. Let me refresh here. How you know I'm doing it live right now. All righty. There we go. So we have things like the MLA International Bibliography. This is a specialized database for literary criticism. I'm trying to show you a variety of examples, but of course I'm the literature librarian, so I've got a little bit of a bias here. But you can do a search in here. Pretty standard. Most of you have seen these kinds of databases. But what I do want to mention is that you will see quite a few things that are PDF full text. You click on that PDF full text, it takes you into the article, you're ready to go. If you don't see PDF full text, you can look for this. It says full text via libkey. That's just our system. So you're just looking for something to click on like that. And what it does is it takes you into our wider system. So it's not available in MLA, it's available somewhere, it's going to tell you that. In this particular case, it's a book. So there's actually a little link here for have you check the catalog. And boom, there's the book, and you can go and get it. If there is no link to a book or to a full text, this is again where you can take advantage of interlibrary loan. So you can click on request university users, and you can enter in the information and request it. It often will give you at least some information already pre-filled, and you would just then click the submit request button. So the big thing to just remember is that if you come across something and you're not sure how to get it, there should be some sort of link. You can also always come and ask us, and this is a very common thing that we answer is I found this article, how do I actually get to it? We're very happy to answer those questions. So as mentioned, you've got things like MLA. We have bigger sort of interdisciplinary collections like JSTOR. We also have Project Muse. It's a great one for humanities and social sciences. So it's got journal articles. It also actually has books and book chapters as well. So you can see some of the publishers that are here. There are research areas to search. And I like this one because this really is pretty much full text. So everything you see here, you're going to be able to click and get access to it. So that gives you a little bit of a sense. You can also kind of browse journals. And I'll mention this just to kind of pique your interest. We have a lot of systems. This is something I think that gets underutilized is we have a lot of systems that allow you to set up alerts, and Project Music actually has a really nice system here. I believe what you'll do is you'll create a personal account. So you're getting it through us. You don't have to do anything there. But if you want to be able to save things, save searches, get alerts and notifications, you create an account. And then you would click on this Muse alert. So it says you must be logged in. So every time then that there's a new issue of that journal, you would get an email alert. And a lot of our systems do this. They call them different things: journal alert, citation alert, table of contents. But it's a nice feature that I think people don't always remember is there. And then I just want to mention just another example of what you can see with databases. So you get sort of specialized disciplinary databases like MLA, you get these bigger interdisciplinary, and then we have really specialized things. Well, hopefully. There we go. All right. So things like disability in the modern world. So this is all about disability studies. And this has actually primary and secondary sources. I'm going to talk more about primary sources in a minute. But you can see a variety of things in here that you can work with. Videos, books, documents, it gives kind of pages, archival collections. And again, there are journal articles in here as well. Okay, so that gives you a little overview of resources. Idea for support. So we have a lot of people in the library who are happy to answer questions, give you any kind of information that you might need. We have subject specialists like myself. So these are, hold on. And now I am, of course, that's what happened. You practice and then it's all fine and then you come. This happens. All right, so subject specialists. So these are people like myself who support departments and disciplines. So they buy materials for these collections, they answer research questions, they teach library sessions for students. So any topic, it might be your primary area, it may be something that you're branching into where you think, oh, I'm going to need to use visual images, and I've not worked with visual images much. Who can I come and talk to? And so you'll see email addresses, phone numbers. You can schedule an appointment with people and talk to them about your research. They can give you ideas. We're always happy to hear from people. Related, we have research guides that we've all created. These are not just the databases that I was showing you earlier, but these are actually like kind of collections of things. So you'll find books, and you'll find information about newspapers, and you'll find information about primary sources and specialized data. I'm gonna take the liberty of showing you my guide to give you a sense. So there's articles, books, primary sources. I have things are like divided by time periods. You can find information about book reviews, and then these will get you into different sources. Okay. Other people who are there to support you is the Center for Data and Visualization Sciences. These are wonderful colleagues. They will help you with data, how to visualize it. It's always interesting. As my humanist, you might think that you're not included in this, but often there are things that you want to visualize. You may want to map out. We had a professor one time who was mapping out Edith Wharton novels and like where the places were, where the characters went in the books, which was really neat. And so those are things like that that they can help you with. So you may be surprised by where you might overlap if you want an infographic or something. They have wonderful workshops that I highly recommend. They're little bite-sized workshops to kind of get you started to demystify some of these things. Close out a few things to see if that's running. Things are running a little slow here. Okay. Well, I'll wait another second and then we'll move on, but they'll have a list of workshops that you can sign up for. Some are in person, some are on Zoom. You can also meet with these people, so you can set up an appointment with them. They again have data sources, so they have lots of data sets, census information, GIS stuff, and then they have a lab that has a lot of software and equipment. So if you're somebody who wants to do a special project, but you're not going to spend your whole career, maybe you want to go in there and use their ArcGIS instead of having to buy your own software. You can do that in that space. We also have ScholarWorks, which is our digital publishing and scholarly publishing support. So copyright, metrics, impact. This is also the department to talk about digital humanities. So if you have a digital humanities idea, there are people in this office that can support digital humanities. Okay, so now I'm going to switch and talk about primary sources, as I mentioned. So we have, I think, a wealth of primary sources, and I want people to know that these exist. So the first thing, as I mentioned earlier, is we do have the Rubenstein Library. This is located on West Campus. You can go in there and use their materials. It can support your research of your students. You can have library sessions where your students can come in and see materials and get a sense. There's everything from first editions to manuscript collections. We have Walt Whitman papers. So you can actually see, if you know anything about Walt Whitman, he rewrote his poems, and you can actually see all the things he marked out and different iterations. There are also photos, pamphlets, other kinds of ephemeral materials. We have a wide variety of resources in there. These right here on the right-hand side are some of the sort of centers. So these are kind of areas where we collect more heavily. We have a wonderful human rights archive, a really interesting advertising collection, women's history collection, John Hope Franklin Research Center for African and African American history. So a lot of collections for you to explore. If you go to the Rubenstein website, They have information there about you can contact them with questions. They have information about what you will do when you come visit them, information about registering as a researcher, requesting materials, ordering reproductions. They also have a lot of guides, similar to the subject librarian guides I showed you. You can click on these and get into it. They often include what we call finding aids, which just tells you like this manuscript is located in this box. So it will, ooh, except for that when that happens. Let's hope that doesn't happen again. There we go. So it literally tells you in some cases like kind of box by box, like where, so you can see there's 115 boxes, 62 boxes. You can really dive in deeply and get a sense of what is in these collections. So the other thing with Rubenstein, though, is that you can actually search in that catalog. A lot of people don't always know this, is that you can actually search in the catalog. And just like I showed you location, you can limit to Rubenstein. And then you can actually see what we have in the Rubenstein Library. And sometimes I think this is a little bit easier to approach. So you see something, gives you a little bit of detail. You click on the request button. And one nice thing is when you request it, what you're doing is you're requesting, because a lot of the materials in Rubenstein are stored in specialized spaces. There's a fancy vault that you and I are not allowed in. There are offsite things. So what you do is you do your request and then they gather it and then you can go and see it. And so you can actually, which I think is nice, is you can say, I would like to come see it next Tuesday. And specify which day you want to see it. So then you put in your request, you show up in the reading room. First time you go, you'll have to register, you have to show them an ID, and then you'll go into the room, tell them who you are, and they'll bring you the boxes of materials that you could take a look at. They, in most cases, they will allow you to take like a no flash photo with your phone. They have scanners in there. You can bring a pencil in and you can take notes on paper. So you'll have ways to interact with the material and get the information that you need. So that gives you a little bit of a sense of Rubenstein. Related to that is we have digital collections. Not everything is digitized, probably not. We're never going to get everything digitized. But we do have quite a few things that are digitized from our collections. This was a lifesaver during the pandemic. So there's photographs, oral histories, lots of university archival material. So anything that we do have digitized, you can find through here. And you can see, you can look by years and formats and subjects and language. I'm going to show you the basketball poster collection, because who knew we would have this? Indulge me. So these are all digitized. So you can take a look at these. This one cracked me up. They're like in suits. 1980 looks very 1980 to me. So funny. So you can download this, you can share this. It gives you metadata, so it tells you the title, the year, the date, description. Sometimes it'll even include like who took the photograph, lots of details to really place this. This is when I work with undergraduates, I always tell them that's what's nice about this, is that you're not kind of like trying to guess like when this happened. It gives you a lot of detail about what you're looking at. So we have, as I mentioned, quite a few digital collections that are worth taking a look at and getting a sense for. But then we also pay for quite a few primary source database collections that, again, I think sometimes people aren't quite aware of. When you hear database, you think journal articles, but actually we have quite a few primary source collections. And we have a guide. We have a guide for that. Feels like my motto today. We have finding and using primary sources. And so this gives you a sense: online collections, newspaper collections, magazines, archives, again, data. And this isn't every single primary source by any means. This is more just to give you sort of a kind of a somebody who's looking for a general sense of primary sources will get a sense of what's available, and can take a look. So we do have things like Women's Magazine Archive. We also have the Vogue archive, which is amazing. Full images, really neat collection that we can do. I don't know. Gardens. You can limit by dates in here. You can limit by kind of publication types, and other kinds of things. But I just want you to see full text image here. So really nice quality. You can scroll in, look at that. And again, you get sort of abstract details, so you get a lot of information about what it is that you're looking at. And one thing that I like about some of these collections too is that, let me see if I can, you can actually then kind of get into the rest of the issue. So if you found this interesting, you can sort of get the context of what else was in that issue. So you can take a look at some of that. So in addition to that guide, you can also go back to this research database that I showed you earlier. And you can say, let's look at women's and sexuality studies. You can look at primary sources. And then this narrows into primary sources and related to like women's and sexuality studies. And you can see the kind of range of materials that are available, including like this letters and diary collection, which is quite neat and interesting. You can see the letters of Mary, Queen of Scots. Right. And some of these are going to be, depending on it, some of these will be the actual manuscript. In some cases, there will be transcriptions. It just depends on what you're kind of looking at. And you can also, if you know the name of the collection, or if you work with a librarian, we can give you a sense. But we have pretty big primary source collections. Early English Books Online is a pretty famous one. This is nearly every work printed between 1473 and 1700 in England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, and British North America. So a pretty big collection. So you have access to that. And again, you can limit by publication dates, document titles. This one is nice. Many of these do this, but this actually shows you where in the document the word wedding showed up. And you do get sort of transcription and the original that you can take a look at. So here you've got quite a bit of nice options in terms of taking a look. And then just for fun, I'll show you one of my favorite just for a second. Is we have this advice literature collection that I think is very funny. Called the 20th Century Advice Literature. So it's kind of what you're imagining, but it's like etiquette books and just like, recipe books and, like how to trap a man, just wild things. Um, Phyllis Diller's marriage manual. And it's the actual full text of it. So you can take a look. So this is just, I think, a fun one to look at. Also, of course, has a lot of scholarly things that you could do with this, but it's certainly an interesting collection. Okay, so that gives you a little bit of a sense of our primary. So like I said, we have the Rubenstein Library, which has a lot of actual physical things you can take a look at. We have our digital collections, and then we have a lot of primary source databases for you. And to wrap up, as I mentioned, you can get in touch with a subject specialist, but we also have other ways to get help. You can go to an actual service desk physically in our buildings. You can chat with us. This is actual people. It's not an AI. Now I have to say that now, which is weird. But this is an actual person. You can send us an email. You can give us a call. You can schedule an appointment. There's lots of ways to get help. And then I'll end with sort of staying connected. We have a newsletter that you can sign up for, comes out every other week, gives you events, exhibits, resources, services. And then we have your, social media stuff. So you can follow us on Twitter if you're still on Twitter. We've got Instagram and Facebook. So, all right. Well, thank you so much. This was fun.
Arianne, that was absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. I learned so much, and I think I'm just going to have to move to the library and just, spend like the next year looking through old pages of Vogue and and the Phyllis Diller marriage manual. And I even saw the preppy handbook up there. Wow, like what an amazing collection you have. So thank you so much for that amazing overview. We really appreciate it.
Oh, you are welcome.